Hey, what's going on, legendary fam? This is Dave Sharpe back in the captain's seat here, and welcome to Wake Up Legendary. This morning, we have an awesome guest who I just recently spent some time around. She was at the Mastermind that we just had a couple of weeks ago, and yeah. She is from Ecuador, has been in the US ever since she was 7. So I'm sure there's so much to learn about her story there and what she went through. And she was working 3 jobs, feeling overworked. So she quit 2 of them. And that's when she found Legendary. So let's hear the rest of the story. Paulette, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dave. It's nice to be here. It's very exciting.
Awesome. I'm excited too. I'm excited to chat with you. So where are you calling in from?
California. So this is
Okay.
actually 7 a.m. for me right now.
So you were the ones who said you took the red eye with your boyfriend, fiance, husband?
Yeah, with my
Yes.
fiance. Yeah,
Yes.
that
Big
was
guy,
that was
tall
fun.
guy,
Beard.
big beard. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
that was me.
Totally.
Yeah, it
Nice.
was super cool. It was really nice to get to go to the mastermind and just kind of meet everybody and just kind of invest in myself.
Mm,
I think it's just very rewarding. A lot of people I feel are a lot of scared to spend money, but
mhm.
if it's gonna pay off in the long run, and just leaving there just gave me a whole nother like aspect and like a mindset shift and
Mm.
just like open up my world a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So say more about that. How did it open your world up more? How did it change your mindset?
So specifically, like when you did the limiting beliefs, like with a board, that's something to
Mhm.
me that's just not like nerdy, but just like like more of a therapeutic session
Yeah.
that seriously just kind of like opened up my mind, because one of the things that I wrote on there was just like I feel like I'm not doing enough. And
Mm,
that's something that I feel like a lot of people can relate to. Like it's like no matter how much you work or how many hours you put in, like you still feel like it's not enough. And just kind of
yeah.
realizing that you are doing enough and just kind of believing in yourself and getting confidence. I think it's what it is. Like feeling more confident about what you're doing and
Yeah.
telling yourself that it's enough, just accepting that and just working through that and learning is just already like so much of a difference, and it just creates so much change for you like mentally, or for me as a person specifically.
Yeah.
So that's like
Yeah,
the
and
big
I
takeaway.
awesome. I'm glad you feel that. And I think that for me, not feeling like I was doing enough, or when I am feeling like I'm not doing enough, it also comes from a deeper place of not feeling like I am enough. That's
Mm-hmm.
just for me. If I was to dig deeper, I'm simply just attaching what I'm doing to my self-worth, but it really ultimately is about my self-worth and me just being enough. You mentioned therapy, you mentioned therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that something that you have been aware of, working on self-esteem, working on feeling enough, and do you also make that connection with the fact that you had felt like you were not doing enough? Do you make that connection to
Yeah.
your own self-esteem and also feeling like you are enough?
Yeah, so kind of all goes back to like when I was little, when I came from Ecuador to California. It's just my Spanish was
Mm,
Ecuadorian Spanish, and here there's a lot of Mexicans because it's the border. So
yeah.
Mexican Spanish from Ecuadorian Spanish was very different. So it kind of get made fun of a lot when I was little, and so I had to go through a lot
Mm,
of like bullying, and my parents kind of didn't know what to do or how to help me because they didn't speak English. So we just
mm,
moved to a different city where I was able to kind of grow out of that. And I feel like a lot of the things of me feeling like I'm not doing enough are they go back to that, to feeling like, oh, I'm bullied or people are making fun of me because of this. So if I do like, oh, I overwork or I do this too much, then I'm gonna feel better. So
totally.
that's just kind of what I realized, and it's just working a lot on like your confidence. And when I started working out 3 years ago, like going to the gym consistently, and like it's the same thing with affiliate marketing, just being consistent. I just started to kind of work on my inner self and like grow through the process. And then finding legendary, it just helps you grow so much more as a person. It's not just affiliate marketing.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm asking this and digging in touching on that
Mm-hmm.
more because so many of our members come into our community and begin to go through our training, and they want to launch their business, and they're so caught up in the mechanics of, why am I not getting results? Why am I not? And when we look at what they're doing, well, they're not taking specific action, say not getting in front of
Yeah.
the camera, not posting in marketing enough, not writing
Mhm.
enough emails, right? Not mailing your
Yeah.
list. Okay, well, that's a symptom of something that's deeper. That's not the
Mhm.
problem. The problem is that with that email, you feel that it's not good enough, right? With
Yeah.
that video, you feel that you're not good enough, and what you create is not good enough. So the
Mhm.
biggest takeaway that I want all of our community members, all of our legendary family to understand here is, as you begin to go and build your business, the things that you feel are not going well, if you really look at your business and you say, okay, where are the holes at? It's not always about just, oh, I need to do more of that. Let me dig deeper and see where the root of that is coming from, and ask myself, why do I not hit send? Or why am I not emailing my list? And if I can address the fact that I feel that my emails are not good enough, then I can talk about that, and then
Mhm.
we can get somewhere. But if you just say, and it's like a cut or a sore, and say it's infected, if the doctor just says, well, just keep putting a band-aid on it, just keep putting a band-aid on it, just the same way that we
Yeah.
would say, well, just email your list more, but you never get down to the root and take the antibiotic, or you never address the infection, then continuing to put a band-aid on it, or saying just be more consistent, it's not going to fix
Mhm.
the problem. We have to be honest
Yep.
and try to figure out where the problem is coming from. And that's why I loved that you touched on your takeaways. That those were your takeaways from the
Yeah.
mastermind.
Also, just kind of accepting that you're like wherever you are in life. Like for me, I started 4 months ago, so I don't expect to know completely everything. Just kind of accepting that you're on your own journey and just kind of focus on your own growth and your own successes. Not just
Hmm.
expect to people expect to pay $7 and then just make a lot of money. And they're like, why am I not rich? And it's like because it's not or scheme. It's not a scam. Like you actually have to work and learn and fail forward. Just what you say all the time, just fail forward, like learn from your mistakes. It's not a mistake, it's a lesson. And
Yeah.
I can really like just kind of accept that. And once you kind of accept that and change your mindset to everything that you do is you're actually learning and you're not, like, oh, I'm a failure and I suck. Like once you get that out of your head, it's just, I don't know, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It really is. When this is the dynamics and the mechanics. I talk about this a lot, and it's the image that I hope to ingrain in everyone's head, which is, the image of the iceberg, and the tip of the iceberg being that that those mechanics, and
Hmm.
then the bottom or lower portion of the iceberg being being those dynamics, and those dynamics are what we're talking about right here. Those dynamics are, the psychology and the emotional growth that we need to have, if we want to really take our business to places and levels that it's never gone before, with all the things that many of us have tried. And I know for you this may be new, but
Hmm.
it's not new for a lot of people. A lot of
Yeah.
people have tried different things over the course of many years, and they start over and over and over again, and they continue to end up, or at least feel like they're back in the same place over and over again. And it can be frustrating. This is the image that I'm talking about with the mechanics and the dynamics, just to sort of kind of brand this, or imprint this into your brains, the mechanics, the way in which something is done or operated, the practicalities or details of something, the dynamics are the forces or properties which stimulate growth, development, or change within a system or process or a person. Now, these are just the actual definitions of mechanics and dynamics, but this is how entrepreneurship works. The 1% understand that there's the mechanics, which is, again, for us, the autoresponder, the software, connecting the things. It's the mechanical pieces. And
Mhm.
the 1%, the wealthy, the successful, whatever you want to call it, also address the dynamics, also address the change within me, and ask, where are my challenges really coming from? Am I just addressing the symptoms? And part of the symptom solutions would be, well, maybe this business isn't right, let me just go start another one. And then what happens? Same thing over and over again. um
Yep. I've
and
actually
that's
done
kind
that
of,
before. I try to do self-published author and try to sell
yeah,
books online, and I bought this course before Legendary. I bought a course and I was like, "Oh, I'll make my money back." And after like 1 month of trying, I decided that it was too hard and I quit. So it's just kind of funny because I can totally relate to that, to what you were saying. I actually did MLM before, and I didn't like it because the whole thing of writing everybody that you know in your contact, no matter who it is, just write it on down on the paper. And then
yeah.
I was like, oh, now you have to call them. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, you have to call them because you never know if you're gonna get a yes. And I was just like, this is so weird, so uncomfortable. So
Totally.
I
Yeah.
quit. I did not do that. I didn't like that
Right.
aspect. I was like, okay, I don't know. I really don't want to bother everybody that I know and be like, hey, you want to get this, and this is why you should get it. I felt like I
Yeah.
was spamming them, but in
Yeah.
person.
And I think that's an example of where the mechanics just kind of suck. If your business, I said this last week on a wake up show, if your business, the success of your business relies on your friends and family supporting your business, then that is not a good business plan.
Yeah.
So that I've done tons of MLM. I've made money in MLM. I'm not here to bash MLM, but the mechanics of MLM, quite frankly, those mechanics anyway,
Yeah.
those mechanics suck. And there is ways to generate leads online for your MLM, but yeah, so that's an example of bad mechanics. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, though, there's a lot of there's still that that kind of emotional or psychological barrier that we're talking about. Even in that, I'm sure you felt,
Yeah.
which was like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not going to do this good enough, right? Yeah, sure, I don't want to
Mhm.
bother them, but I think after a couple of businesses, we ask ourselves, is there a pattern here? And
Yep.
the first pattern is, I'm jumping around from thing to thing. But what am I
Mhm.
feeling each time I start a business? And if I'm feeling like I'm never doing enough, it's never good enough, I'm not good enough, then that's a pattern that, if you address that, that's an example of addressing the dynamics. And this is when you as an entrepreneur begin to shift. And Paulette, for you,
It's so funny. You're like speaking my mind. It's crazy.
for
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
for you at the same for me, that now that I've addressed and worked on this, I am enough, and whatever I do is exactly what I'm supposed to do today, as long as I give it my best
Mhm.
effort, it's enough. Eventually, I'll stop putting so much pressure on myself, because that takes a lot of energy, and I'll just
Yeah.
put the energy in the places, in the income producing activities, and I'll press send, and it'll just be the best that it can be for that day, and that will lead me to success, and that will build my confidence. And eventually, Paulette, for you, the same way that it has for me, you could take away my current business, and I still know with absolute certainty that, because of the skills, both mechanical, but also those dynamic skills,
Mhm.
that you could take everything away from me that I have today, and I would be able to start another successful business, probably in any niche, because of this work that I've done of addressing both the symptoms, but also the root of my old sabotaging patterns.
Yeah.
And, that's how success is born.
Yep. I'm actually not quitting work, but I'm only going to work like 1 day out of the week, and I'm going to take a month break from my regular bartending job. That's what I do. So
Mhm.
I'm so excited because that just opens up so much more time for me to set up like a schedule, because my schedule's so like messed up. I'll wake up and I'll sleep. It's just on and off. But I'm super excited because I can set up a schedule, like you were saying, just set up a schedule that works for me and set up a times that I can work, on my business, and then times that I can just work, just my regular life. And I was telling Matt before this, I was like, I feel like I'm quitting my job, but not really, and just kind of doing affiliate marketing like full time, which is super exciting for me because it's just like what I've dreamt of so long. And it's nice to like actually learn like through the mastermind, just what I was telling you, the limiting belief, just kind of learning and focusing on myself and just kind of just keep going every single day,
Mm,
and being like just being consistent and learning what's working for me, what's not, like what I can change, what can I add.
yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just super amazing. I'm super thankful and excited. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to be on the show. I would never like, I'm just very like, not introverted because I can talk a lot, but just don't really like putting myself on the spot, I guess you would say. So I am not really like a fan of that. So just when Matt was like, "Oh, you should be on the Wake Up Show," I was like, "Okay." And
Good.
yeah, very
Yeah,
excited.
saying yes more. Saying yes more, I think, is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's one way to, you know, that's one way to grow, first of
Mhm.
all, because
Yeah.
now you're more comfortable. You know and believe that you can get on the spot and do a wonderful job. You can deliver, you can speak, you can answer questions, you can be
Mhm.
interviewed, you can also interview,
I
you
did
know.
practice. I go live on TikTok, so
Yeah, well, there you go.
I have
So,
to get practice.
yeah, totally. So, those of you who are listening, this is a great example of, if you also don't like to put yourself on the spot, oftentimes there are opportunities where people will ask you to do something, or there's opportunities where you're sitting in a room, like, for example, um, I think you're in LA, which you're very, I'm sure, aware of recovery meetings and just the
Yeah.
recovery culture, and whether you've seen it on TV or you have friends that are involved or whatever. So a lot of times I'll go to a meeting, a 12-step meeting, and they'll open the floor up for open sharing, and then nobody will share. And I'll take it upon myself to be the first one to open my mouth and put something out there, because nobody wants to go first, right? Nobody wants to be first. Nobody wants to, nobody wants to put themselves out there first. But that would be a great example of a time where I will make myself uncomfortable, and there's not a whole lot of risk. It's not like
Yeah.
we're going to lose income, lose our job, lose our home. It's just you're taking a little emotional risk, and there's growth that comes from that. Now you know that if ever there's a time in a situation where, where you can be the first, or there's a kind of that awkward silence when you're sitting in a group with people, that it's okay. You can go first.
Yeah.
You can be the leader. You can speak up. And
Mhm.
those are like the off season. That's like the practice. When somebody asks you to
Yeah.
be on the wake up show, often we'll invite people to be on the wake up show, and occasionally we'll get somebody who says no thank you. You know, we've
Yeah.
invited people who have done well down to the mastermind to share and speak. And some of them, not many, but some have said no thank you. And it just, I've never seen somebody who did something that scared them after they did it say, "I wish I hadn't done that. That was the worst thing." I've
Yeah.
but I've heard a million times when somebody did something that they didn't want to do, that they were scared and afraid to do. I've
Mhm.
heard a million times people say, "I'm so thankful that I did that. I'm so thankful
Yeah.
that I went there. I'm so thankful that I said yes."
Yeah, it's all about getting outside your comfort zone and just being comfortable with it. Like I used to never go live, and now I go live every day, and I get to be like, wow, like I would never think if you told me like, oh, you're gonna be making TikToks and going live and posting on Instagram and doing all this, I'd be like, what? No, I would never do that. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just crazy the long way that I've, just come just through just learning through Legendary Marketer and learning just through the mastermind itself is just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you become an inspiration for other people who feel the same way. And I think this myth, it's a lie that you have to have this A type personality, this big extroverted personality, or that you
Yeah.
have to have a certain specific kind of personality, to be successful, to be good at marketing is just a big lie, especially in 2021
Yeah.
where social media is so prevalent and people are buying so much from other ordinary people that people want to see that you're real. People want to know that
Yeah.
you have insecurities. People want to know that you're being courageous. People want to be inspired by the fact that you're putting yourself out there. I see these women
Yeah.
who are taking pictures of their bodies that over the decades have not been the bodies that you've seen in the magazines. They've not been the the
Yeah.
the 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 uh the
Normal people.
well, normal people who, in most magazines, in most of society, in the ads, look like they have an eating disorder. It's
Yeah.
it's impossible to be that skinny. I mean, for God's
Yeah.
sakes, you have to really be doing way too much, or you have to have an eating disorder.
Yep.
And so I see women putting pictures of themselves and their bodies, whether they had, maybe a, a pregnancy to where their skin didn't come back to the way that it was before, or whatever, and they're
It's
putting
just
those
normal.
pictures. They're putting exactly, which is how most normal bodies look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They little love handle here, little love handle there. I mean, my dad bod. It's
I always
taken.
talk about your dad bod.
Oh man, this thing is
I always watch the
unbelievable.
show.
It's unbelievable, this dad bod. I mean, it just keeps getting better and better, But but people just, when they see that, back to the example of the woman who's, taking a picture of her body in a bikini and it's got
Yeah.
stretch marks and all this kind of stuff. Man, that's got to be, for the first time she ever did that, the most scary thing ever, right?
Yep.
But
Definitely.
what happens is, I've seen tons of them, their profiles, they just blow up because people are so inspired by the fact that they're willing to be courageous, and quite frankly, because they're looking and feeling the same way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
They're looking at
exactly.
I mean, I mean, come on, look at this thing. I
Like we're
mean, are you
normal
guys
too.
seeing this thing right here? Look at this. I mean, like,
Oh.
it's like, how many do I have to be perfect to influence people? No. The
I feel
more
like showing that
perfect
you're
I am,
normal. Yeah.
yeah, the more perfect I am, the less people can relate, because we're all imperfect. So, anyways, back to my point, which is that, not only saying yes helps to more situations and opportunities that are uncomfortable, that will eventually not be uncomfortable the more you do them.
Hmm.
The second point is that people are inspired by your normalness, by your realness, by the fact that you have human emotions, the fact that you might trip up or slip up
Hmm.
when you're talking and stumble or stutter, or the fact that you might say, "Hey, I'm nervous," or it's just, that is one of the most actually um influential things you can do, because people want to do business with people that they can relate to and that they feel like are like them.
Yeah, and I think now people just want to see your struggles. They don't just want to see your wins or how much money you made. They want to see like, hey, this was hard for me, but I did it and you can do it too. And just kind of just sharing everything that you've learned so far because you're kind of taking your followers on your journey through your life. And I feel
Yeah.
like just relating to them and because I don't know if you know, but I actually signed up to on through Andre's TikTok. And the reason I was able to relate to him is because he worked in the restaurant industry and he lived in
Mhm.
California. And I was like, okay, if he can work in a restaurant industry and go to bed at like 3, 4 in the morning, which is the same time that I go to bed, like I can
Mm.
definitely do this too. And that's just kind of like how I was able to relate with him and how I feel like I can relate to, other people that watch my content because I'm able to be like, hey, I'm a normal person. I work, a regular job. I get paid. I'm like not perfect. Here are my struggles. These are my wins. If you want to do this too, like I just want to put the belief in people that they can actually do something that they plan to do, but just kind of just go a little bit beyond that and just kind of show them that like it doesn't have to be perfect. You're not,
Mm,
like you said, you're not a model. You're just a regular average person, and you
mm.
just need to like motivate them and show them who you are and how they can, pretty much do the same. But it's all about how much they want to change their life, because nobody's going to go ahead and, like change it for them.
Yeah. And this relates to any niche, by the way, people. So you may be
Yeah.
thinking this only relates to the make money online niche or whatever, but it doesn't. I mean, it relates to whether you're in the real estate, you're talking and speaking to realtors, you're in dog training, you're in, the baby niche, any other segment of health, wealth, relationships, anything. This stuff all applies. It all works, especially in 2021 moving into 2022. There's never been a time
Yep.
to where we are wanting to connect and relate to each other and those we do business with than right now. And even the people who we do business with at big companies, like everybody knows I'm a fan of watches, and I've got, relationships with salespeople, and the I want to know that they're a real person. I want to know their family, their spouse. I share pictures of my kids, and I go there and hang out in the store when they call and say one of my watches came in or whatever, like. And she doesn't have to be perfect. She can make mistakes. She can screw up. We text back and forth sometimes, and she tries to show me a watch, and I'm like, no. And she's like, it's okay to say no, and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I just the day that is relationship building. I mean, that is
Yeah.
relationship building, and that is one of the hardest things, admittedly, is to be vulnerable and to learn how to balance, how much of your life you're going to share. I that is something that you have to decide. Like, are you going to share pictures and videos of your kids, and are you going
Hmm.
to, like, how far into your life are you going to take people? But I think the most important parts about it is to stay on message. If you have a TikTok channel, for example, or an Instagram account, that you're keep it on message. If you are going to use different stories or talk about different areas of your life, as long as you tie it back into the original topic, you're fine.
So
That
funny. I just did that yesterday that you're saying that. I went to a cat cafe. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've heard of those, but
Cat cafe?
yeah,
No.
it's like where you go and you hang out with cats, and all these cats are like adopted.
Mm,
So, or not adopted. You can adopt them there, but they've been saved from euthanasia. And you literally just go and you sit in these fluffy pillows and you hang out with the cats and you pet them and you play with them. It's so funny. So I literally just made a TikTok about that. And I was like, hey, here I am playing with the cats. And, like you can adopt them. They're so cute. And, this is why I love working from anywhere in the world, because you can do this from anywhere that you want to do, and just, just work wherever you want. So I
yeah,
tied that in, just kind of like just showing my personality, who I am as a person. Obviously, I like cats because I went to a cat cafe. And at the end,
right.
tying that in with what I do. And I'm like, hey, you can do this too. You can work from wherever you want. You don't have to
Yeah,
just go to a certain place and work there.
yeah. I love that, and I mean, there's billions of people in the world who love cats.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that works really well is bringing your animals or your pets into your content, and allowing your audience to know who they. You can't hear me? I don't know why I didn't change anything. I feel like something on your side must have changed. Can you hear me? Oh, you can log off and come back on. Log off, come back on. So, yeah, let's see if she can come back on super quick, because I'd like I'd like for her to hear also what I'm about to say about, bringing your pets into your life or into your content. Do I want to go to a cat cafe? Only if you're the main feature. Is that weird to say live? Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's always logging off and on. I was in Toronto one time at a hotel and the TV didn't work and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna send up the engineers." I'm like, "Holy shit, okay." And the guy comes up and all he does was unplug and plug the TV back in
It
and it worked,
works.
you know. I'm like, "Geez, Louise, needed an engineer for that." Um,
Hilarious.
so I wanted to just say this and then we'll end with some whatever your final thoughts are. But just an idea for those of you who have animals, and this your cat cafe story made me think of this. um Bringing your animals, you have to decide, those of you who are marketing and in talk, tying in your personal life to your content and so forth. You have to decide how much you want to bring your kids in. I would be careful with that. Um, I just saw somebody get an account banned, and they thought that it might be because they had a lot of videos with their children in them. And it wasn't somebody in our community. It was somebody else that I saw on social media. I would just be careful with bringing your children into your content. Number one, the main reason I stopped doing it was because I want to give my child a choice whether they want to be in my content or not, and they can't make that choice yet. So at a later time, when they're older or they're adults, they can that's my choice. I'm not saying you should follow my lead on that. That's just a choice that I make. I also really only do this show as content because I'm running and operating our company here. If I was out on TikTok, creating content as an affiliate, and that's all I was doing every day, I might be different. I might approach that different. But what I will say is there's absolutely no harm in bringing your pets into your content. Okay. So kids, much more of I feel like a bigger decision whether you're going to bring them into your pets, no brainer.
Yeah.
If you have pets, first and foremost, allowing your audience to know who your pets are and bringing them in almost as characters of your show, like of your soap opera series, whether it's a cat, whether it's a dog. First of all, because animals do hilarious things. They
Yep.
just are funny as shit. Just they'll be laying there and maybe there's so many creative things you can do with your animals on Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. Second of all, it humanizes you. It shows that you're a lover of animals. And I don't like, even for those who don't have a house full of pets, I appreciate people who do. I know that they are caring, loving people, and it just lets me know more about them. Third thing is that yeah, if I do have cats and or dogs and you have a cat or dog, there's an
You can relate. Yep.
instant connection, right? So if you are not including your dogs and cats somehow, some way, and I'm not saying it's got to be in every video, or you need to decide how you want that. But I'm just, for those of you who have not at least considered utilizing your dog as a
It's
co-star
perfect. It's the
in
perfect
some of your
idea.
content, is you gotta consider that.
Yeah. Do you have any pets, Dave?
I had a pit, and in no way, shape, or form do I think pits are bad or all pits are. But my dog lunged a couple of times at a toddler when
Oh.
she was over. I just think he was afraid and scared and just didn't know what this little person was. And so we shipped him over to grandpa's house. And so now he lives with my dad. His name's King. He's getting old. He's got like bad hips and stuff.
Oh.
He thinks he's can do a lot more than he can. He's not accepting his old age. He's
He's
got like a
mentally
gray beard.
young.
Mentally young, physically old, but that is my animal.
That is
And then
so
there's me. I'm
cute.
the only other animal in the house. I'm the so.
I think
Well,
it's also like, I was gonna say, you're also like as old as you feel, because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I can't do this or I can't do that," and it's like, you're not old. You're telling yourself that you're old, so you're feeling old, and you're giving yourself those like negative thoughts about yourself.
yeah.
So just like that's something else that I kind of just took away. Just if you change that mindset, then you change the way that you think.
Yeah, and I mean, I did an entire presentation, if you remember, on "We Are What We Speak" and basically the
Yeah.
wrath of the newbie complex, and how big of a problem it is. I'm not going to go through the entire presentation right now, or the entire, everything that I went over at the mastermind, but this the I call it the wrath of the newbie complex, and you are what you say you are. And when I was back working construction and starting out online, you know, I had all the same mental limiting beliefs that most of us have, which is I'm just a broke high school dropout, recovering drug addict, recently homeless, guy. Who the hell is going to listen to me? Like, I don't have any clout, no creds, no degrees. I got no business experience. I mean, I had some of the biggest limiting beliefs that one could have. But what I began to do was I began to speak into existence who I wanted to be and what I wanted to have, and what and I also was very careful about what I said in our house. I made an agreement with my wife that we weren't going to say we can't afford something. We were just going to say, hey, we need to be more resourceful so we can get the resources, the money to be able to afford that. I didn't call myself a newbie. I
Yeah.
didn't refer to myself as a newbie. I didn't call myself a newbie. I was very careful about how I spoke about myself, and I still am, because when we say things, limiting things about ourselves, then it's one of the fastest ways to embed that belief. But if I've got people all around me who are saying you're a loser, you'll never be shit, but
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm a badass, I'm a winner, I can do this, and I will rise up from the ashes like the damn phoenix. If I say that, it will combat all of the negativity and criticism that's coming from other people. However, if I succumb, if I surrender to criticism and or negativity that I heard in general or about me, in the current, present, or in my past, if I surrender to that and I repeat that over and over to myself, well, I'm doomed. I'm doomed to fail, because
Yep.
I'm never going to be more than what I say I am. I have to speak what I want into existence. And then my actions will follow my words. And that's when I can act myself and speak myself into a new way of thinking. But I'm never going to get there if I refer to myself as newbie. So that's the number one tip, because I don't have a whole lot of time to go over the entire lesson and the empowered self speaker exercise that we did at the mastermind. You'll have to come to the mastermind and experience that for yourself next time we do one. But what I would suggest everybody is to stop referring to yourself less than what you want to be referred to as. If you don't want to be a newbie, then stop calling yourself a newbie. If you don't want to be just starting out, don't refer to yourself as just starting out. If you don't want to be a failure, don't refer to yourself as a failure. Refer to yourself as what you want you to be in the future. Okay, so you're not a millionaire, but you're a future millionaire. Okay, so you're not a master marketer, but you're an up and coming master marketer. You got the drift.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep. That's exactly what it is. And it's just working through that every single day and just catching yourself saying, like negative things and just rewording them to
Yeah,
changing it to
reframing
say,
them, right? We talked about
yeah,
that at the mastermind.
about unlearning. Yes.
And
Yeah. That's,
reframing, I can reframe a situation just by putting it into a different context or a different perspective. Reframing is very simply exactly what I did with that example about not being able. So I told my wife, let's make an agreement that we're not going to say that we can't afford something. Let's reframe it. Let's put this picture, this truth, which is that we don't have the money right now to buy that. Let's
Yeah.
put that out of this ugly, disempowering frame of we can't afford it, and let's put it in a more empowering frame of we just don't have the resources yet for that, but we can get them because we're resourceful.
Yep. Yep. That's
Final
amazing.
words
That's
from
amazing.
you. Final words from you to anybody who's listening, thinking about getting started with our challenge or even our blueprints in coming to a mastermind.
I would say just kind of focus on yourself and focus on your growth and don't try to compare yourself to other people because you're on your own journey. So just focus on your own journey and take like baby steps because if you think about the big picture and what your goal is and you're going to get overwhelmed. But if you just step back and you set that as like your main goal and you set up smaller, shorter goals that over time will lead to that main, goal that you have, you will get there. Just don't compare yourself to other people and don't try to just think about like, oh, I'm not making any money. Just focus on little changes that you can do and how you can improve every single day. So in the long term, you're going to look back and look at, see how much you've learned and how much you've grown by simply just putting that into action.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. It's pretty cool.
Yes, yes, yes. Hold for 1 second, okay? Thank you. All right. This is my dermatologist. I got to take
It's
this
so
call.
funny.
We'll talk
Okay.
to you later, Paulette, okay?
Bye.
All right. See ya. All right, my friends, go follow Paulette at the address here. I'm going to leave it up on the screen for a moment while I take this call and mute myself out. Get out of here. We'll see you back tomorrow for another episode. Peace.